How someone could believe that killing innocent people could further one's cause is beyond me. Shortly after the attack, I met one of the Boston policemen who was there, one of the first responders. He described his feelings, the horror as he witnessed this war zone, his sadness as he raced to apply tourniquets and try to stop bleeding, and just the death and carnage, what he saw as he showed up. He described his anger as he pursued these two Islamic radicals through the streets. He described that he felt it was justified. There was a shootout. One of them was killed. And if you're going to kill innocents, you will receive the same. But he also said that after we captured the last one, after we captured and disarmed the last bomber, he said he also described a special appreciation for American justice. After the younger bomber was apprehended, he said, we didn't drag him through the streets and beat him to death with tire irons. He will get a lawyer. He will get a trial. It's what makes us different from them. When I talk to our young soldiers, my wife and I have helped build a home for a young soldier who lost 3 limbs in one of our neighboring towns in Kentucky. When I talk to them and I ask them, what were you fighting for? What did you fight for? What did it mean to fight for your country? And they said that the essence of what we fought for was our freedom, our Bill of Rights, our Constitution. We have to believe and preserve those. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here to fight for. And that's what our young men and women have put their lives on the line for. Now, some politicians say that this war on Christianity means that we must fight a large conventional war against all of radical Islam. Well, part of my point here is to tell you there's 50 million, 100 million. This isn't going to be fought with a conventional war. It's going to require Islam to police Islam. But there will be times, and we will have to defend ourselves. We were right to go to war after 9/11. There are times when military action is justified and necessary. I believe we must be willing and able to defend ourselves against the jihadists. But we must also re-examine our policies because military action can at times actually enable and empower radical Islam. I think going into Syria could possibly enable al-Qaeda. It could make things worse. So we have to be very clear about that. In Egypt, in Libya, in Syria, it's still unclear whether the war, the changes, or the new regimes are going to be more friendly or less friendly to America. To me, it doesn't make any sense to send American arms, American planes, or American troops to aid Syrian rebels, or the Muslim Brotherhood, for goodness sakes. We should stop it. In the future, I see less and less conventional wars. I don't see the possibility of how 50 to 100 million radical jihadists are defeated, but they have to be contained and we have to defend ourselves. Make no mistake, we should actively defend ourselves. But the ultimate answer, I really think, comes that the rest of Islam that is not radical has to police radical Islam. The Islamic republics, they see us as invaders and infidels. They're never going to accept us through force of arms. Somehow, though, they must be made to understand that they must root out and destroy the sadists and killers amongst them, the ones who distort and contort religion to justify killing of civilians and children. Islam needs to remember and recreate the good in their history. For centuries, the Middle East was home to cultural and intellectual centers of ancient world. Math and science flourished in the Middle Ages. Tolerance and sophistication were the norm at one time in the Middle East. The great medieval physician Rhazes identified smallpox and measles. The great Persian mathematician Al-Khwarizmi made advances in algebra. There was enlightenment at one time in that part of the world. Islam carried the light of learning for centuries. They paved the way for our enlightenment. This history needs to be brought back to life again. Innovation in Muslim communities developed the magnetic compass, pens, and printing. It was said at one time that books were printed in Cairo, passed out in Baghdad. I mean, the world really, at one point in time in the Middle East, was something that was very amazing. It needs to come back, but they need to figure this out. And the policing has to come from them. As late as the 1960s, it was said that books were printed in Cairo, read in Baghdad. There was a time in our history when Islam was policing itself. Most Muslims describe Islam as a peaceful and tolerant religion. At one time, they prized inquiry over the heads of infidels, the scientific method over fanaticism. I believe Islam still contains some of the roots of this classical traditions and can return to them. In the meantime, we must defend ourselves. Make no mistake about it. We need to understand that the war on Christianity is not being waged by a rare anomaly, but by a significant minority that numbers in the millions. Christians should be prepared for war, but actively seek peace. Reagan said we should strive for peace through strength, and I agree. I urge us not to lose sight of either. Too often, we've lost sight of peace as the goal. The message of the Gospels is not war. Hopefully, the message of Christianity, if listened to, can be part of an eventual peace process. In the meantime, take action. Pray for a solution. Hold your politicians accountable for standing up and protecting life and standing up against the war on Christianity. Thank you, and may God bless you.